Today I am going to show you how to use watercolor paints. Watercolor paints are paints that you have to add water to in order for them to work. So the first step is for me to put my brush in the water and then mix that water into the paint tray. Right now I'm going to mix it in with the green. If I feel like I need a little more water, I can dip my brush into the cup again and then keep mixing. I'm mixing very gently with my brush. I'm not pressing down hard. I don't want the plastic part of my brush or the metal part of my brush to touch the colors. I only want the very tippy toes of my paint bristles to touch the colors. So once I've mixed up that paint, then I can start painting on my artwork. I'm painting a painting that has different shapes in it, but you can use watercolors for any kind of painting that you're working on. I can see that my brush is starting to run out of paint, so I'm going to get a little bit more water and I'm going to go back and add that water into the paint tray. And then I'll have enough paint on my brush to finish painting in. Notice I am painting with the tiptoes of my brush, so only the very bottom part of the brush is touching the paper, and I'm doing it very smoothly and slowly. I'm not letting my brush go all the way down. I'm not scrubbing it on the paper. I'm very gently painting on my tiptoes. If I want to switch and paint with a different color, I need to rinse out my brush. I need to scrape that water off, rinse out my brush again, and then once I know that I've gotten all of the paint out of my brush, then I can put my brush into a new color. I'm adding water into that new color, mixing it around so that I can create some paint. And then once I feel like I have enough paint made in my paint tray, I can take my brush over to my artwork. And again, I am painting on my tiptoes. I'm only using that very bottom part of the brush to paint my painting. I'm very gently painting so that just the tiptoes of the paintbrush touch the paper. And then before I get a new color, I want to make sure and rinse my brush out again. And I'm going to make sure and scrape that water off into the cup. If I do not want my colors to mix, I need to let the colors dry before I paint on them or paint next to them. So I'm going to let these two shapes dry, and then once they're dry, I could go back and paint the space around them. I'm going to show you though what you can do if you want the colors to mix, which is you can add a new color and mix it in and see what happens. You don't want to mix your colors in the paint tray because we want these colors to stay separate. So it's really important that you rinse your brush out really well, and then I'm going to get some of that water and I'm going to mix it onto the paint tray. I'm losing some of my hairs in my paint tray, but that's okay. Once it dries, I can take them out. Now that I've got the yellow paint mixed together, if I want to, I can come and I can add that yellow paint into the green. I can see what that does to my artwork. Maybe it'll change the color a little bit. Maybe it'll make it look a little more interesting. Could I go back right now and get more yellow paint? Nope, because I don't want to get this color into that bright yellow tray. So if I wanted more yellow paint for my circle, I would rinse my brush out really good, scrape that extra water into the cup, and then with a clean brush, I can go and get more yellow paint. And I'm going to take that yellow paint and I can add it to my circle, just painting with the tiptoes of my brush. I'm not going to press my brush down. I'm not going to scrub my brush. I'm going to very, very gently paint with only that bottom part of my paintbrush.